We kind of brought up religion and Joseph Campbell and myth and the propagation of ideas. And it kind of, before I forget, I wanted to ask your thoughts about this. You know, Jordan Peterson, I haven't really understood exactly, like, be able to pin him down exactly what he sees as the role of religion in human society, but it feels like he's describing it as having value for us. The ideas of myth are valuable. They're valuable mechanisms toward, I think you mentioned, kind of directing us in this world as a human society.
Mhm.
Uh, do you think about myth? Do you think about religion? What's the use of it in this construct of markets, in this framework of where ideas are ultimately the fundamental thing that makes societies work?
Yeah, I think Jordan Peterson, who I'm a huge fan of, he's been very influential on my thinking, and influential on my own religious views as well. Um, I think his position would be, and he's said this before, that he acts as if God exists.
Mm.
And I've had some arguments about this before, but to me, that points towards the preeminence of action and how important action is versus your cognitive beliefs necessarily. And I think there is a lot of utility in that. That if you follow the moral code of something like the Bible, you do reap benefits from that. Society reaps benefits from that. Um, and this is not, and sometimes I bring up this point and people will be like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Have you read the Old Testament? They're clobbering people with rocks when they do the wrong thing. The Bible doesn't claim to be this, like, do everything that was done in the Bible. It's more like charting this moral progression where we came from this very barbaric society into something more like the New Testament where we're honoring, individual sovereignty above the state and things like that. So I think that mythology itself is another form of data compression. If you look at these stories, Cain and Abel is a good example, where Peterson makes the point that it's a tiny story. It's, a paragraph ish long, but it contains so many layers of meaning in regards to violence, evil, betrayal, work, um, the divergence between intention and result, because I think Cain is actually he's making the effort to sacrifice for God, but the sacrifices he's making are not, God doesn't find them useful, right? And so he sort of rejects them. For a Again, if we're organized by these useful fictions, right? These Hararian imagined orders. I think mythology is kind of the original version of that, where we were learning to organize ourselves around stories to best coordinate our action across space and time. And so I think it's very foundational. And back to what we were saying in the beginning, that if value truly is fundamental, I think it's interesting that all these stories point towards often common moral values. They're not perfectly aligned, but it does speak to just the evolutionary importance of morality and the subjectivity of morality, where morality sort of evolves over time based on, frankly, the capital stock we've accumulated. The more capital stock we've accumulated, the easier life is, the less barbaric we have to be. Whereas if we're living in conditions of true scarcity, then we tend to be a bit more barbaric towards one another.